All right, friends, we're back again. Hey, what happened to me yesterday? I promised that I was going to be doing these things every day, and I didn't do it. I used the time wisely, though, I promise you. Uh, so every day I've been making time for these videos, and yesterday was a crazy, crazy day. Ran off my feet from beginning to end, but I did take the time I would have normally used for this show to create something for you. So today we're going to be talking about mailing cold email lists, but I'm only going to go surface level, and I'm going to do that for a reason. You want the deeper level stuff? You want me to tell you exactly the techniques, the software? You want me to tell you the content and the list cleaning methods, the really deep stuff? Here's what we're going to do, okay? I want to start a club for people who tune into my daily YouTube shows. And people who want to learn about email. So, people who do, here's what we're going to do. My website, as I keep mentioning all the time, is www.answerswanted.com. ANSWERSWANTED.com. If you go to /YouTube, you can join our mailing list. This list, by the way, this is not our general list. You will not get every blast for everything we ever send. This is only for the YouTube show. And for the most part, that's all I'm ever going to really mention in the emails. But in the email, not only will you get updates, but every time that I do one of these training sessions or these YouTube videos, any resources that would have been bonus to that training, any background info you might have needed, will go out that week. So I had this really cool idea. Let me explain the idea because it might even help other people one day. The way a lot of marketers do these kinds of opt-in gifts things is that what they'll do, or sorry, I should say membership sites, they'll create this big fancy thing where you have to log in to get your resources if you're a member of this club. Well, I was thinking, what if what I did was the thank you page for joining is the resource page. And every week I add new resources to that page. So people brand new just coming onto the show will get everything. And people who are, old will get the most recent update in their next email. And in their next email, we'll just always have the link in every email to the thank you page, which has all the goodies. So, long story short, if you go to www.answerswanted.com /YouTube and join, the second you click the page, you will land immediately on an advanced training video from me that explains incredibly detailed stuff. So anyway, today I want to talk about mailing cold lists, the topic of the day. And I'm going to just say, for one thing, it's dangerous, okay? The major danger of mailing a cold email list is that, well, for one thing, if you're on MailChimp, GetResponse, iContact, I'm just going to call the group of companies that have a service you can go and add your autoresponders to and all that jazz. ESPs, email service providers, could kick you off if you get a high complaint rate, high unsubscribe rate, high bounce rate, high unknown user rate, etc. We could dig into the different types of bounces. We could dig into the complaints and how to lower them and all the techniques behind that. But let's just say for now that that there is the fear of getting dumped. The second worst fear, the other issue that can come up is that you could get your domain name taken away if you get a really high complaint rate. And that's a serious concern. The last thing that you should be concerned about, or I should say, in addition to that, quite frankly, you just won't get the results and you'll pay a ton of money to mail your lists and put a ton of energy and effort in. And get nothing back. So there's a lot of downsides to mailing cold lists. And so some people might even wonder, is it worth it? Should you even bother? In a lot of cases, you probably shouldn't. But there are cases where, whether you have past customers, whether you have former buyers, there's a lot of cases where you want to mail a cold list. Okay, so I'm not going to judge any further for today about why you want to mail a cold list. Let's just imagine you've got either past customers, or sometimes people do a joint venture with somebody who has a really big list, but half of it's really aged. First thing you should do, start with the contacts themselves and make sure that you know, if you do have opens data, if you do have a pile of people that, you know for a fact of their old email list have previously opened an email, I'd start there. If you have the date of their subscribe, you know, or the date last active in some way, start with those. Start with the freshest people you possibly can. Run them through a list cleaner of some kind, and validate the email addresses. And so that's the list side. I can dive more into, you know, intelligence and all that kind of stuff, and how you can secretly learn about more things about those people than they know themselves, but let's just leave that there. So second level is your email system. I mentioned all the major ESPs. If you mail with them on a cold list, you're probably going to get kicked off. It's almost guaranteed. They don't even like a 1% complaint rate or unsubscribe or whatever. Actually, the complaint rate number, I think, is 0.03. But anyway, so you'd need a dedicated email server in a perfect world to get away with it without as many problems. And, you know, our company does build those. You can find those on answerswanted.com. But there are other ways you can do it cheaper too. But let's just start by saying you need to have the right technology for the sending. Third thing is you need the right content strategy. If you go to the Answers Wanted blog, you can find the article I have about re-engagement strategies. Same thing as a cold email list. The same strategy you use for when your list is starting to go south in terms of numbers is the same strategy you use for freezing cold lists. So I won't dive too deep into content other than to mention the I'm sorry email, the Dean Jackson 9-word email, the and who knows, maybe they were sorry to see you go email. But there's a whole bunch of them in the training video that you will get by subscribing to answerswanted.com/YouTube. But anyway, so other than that, your system side, the last part after the content side is the actual sending itself. So you can't blast that list. You can't just fire it. You need to do it slowly, slowly increase in volume. Just keeping an eye on open rate, click rate, and complaint rate the whole time, and bounce rate. Just kind of watching as you increase the number from, 20 cents a day to 50 cents a day to 100 to 200 to 400 to just kind of doubling up, that you're keeping an eye on those stats. And the second it starts to go south, go back and remail some of those opens or clickers, and just show Gmail and the other major providers that you do have engagers, that you're not mailing people who don't open or click, and that you don't just mail people who don't want what you have. So anyway, long story short, you do need to have a sending schedule, and you do need to be careful of who you mail when. So obviously, if you do have existing engagers, you can mail alongside your, for lack of a better term, your junk list, your cold list. Do that. Anyways, I'm just going really high level here, 8 minutes. This is it for today. I'm not going to get any deeper, but if you want to know even more, I actually came up with a couple of other cool things that I realized after I did the video yesterday, that I'm going to add to the membership site. But I think it's going to be cool to just start adding a pile of stuff to that thing, all my resources, all my toys. Well, I mean, there's some things you just won't get unless you hire for a training session, or you hire the consulting itself. But still, the stuff that we're going to have on that page is going to be insanely valuable, and on its own will be enough value to make it worth joining the list. And other than that, if you have any feedback, please go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you just want more free juicy stuff, go ahead and subscribe at / Answers Wanted / YouTube. Other than that, that's it for today's episode, mailing cold lists. In the other video, I also mentioned the legalities and the legal reasons why even in Canada there are some times you need to mail a cold list. So check that out.